Now we are going into the Act. Chapter 2. Chapter 1 is preliminary and it is up to section 5. In section 5 you have all the definitions, and section 6 onwards the corporate resolution process starts. As I told you, what is this corporate resolution process? Here, first we discussed this in the previous discussion. Who is a financial creditor, who is a operational creditor, and who is a corporate debtor. These are the three parties who can initiate the corporate resolution process. Now, the first what we discussed is in general, but now there are two things in the code. One is the sections, Act, another is regulations. So for implementation of these sections, you need regulations. You remember that the code, the Act is made by the Parliament, the legislature, the legislative act, and the regulations are made by the board, insolvency board. That is how generally, but everything has to be confirmed. The regulations have to be issued under the Gazette of the Government of India. Because the board is empowered to carry out the day-to-day operations. Once the act is made, these are given the powers to make regulations to carry out the purpose of this legislature. Now, what is this resolution process? We have said in simple terms, a person, a company owes money either to the financial creditor or to the operational creditor. This is the discussion is only about the fulfillment of the contractual obligations. If you are not able to fulfill the contractual obligations, the management, the ownership will get transferred. That is the purpose of this code. The management which vests in the equity, that is the owners, on the default of the commitment to the debtor will change. So it is a trade-off between the equity and debt. Suppose the financial debtor, the corporate debtor is defaulting an amount of more than 1 lakh rupees, only 1 lakh rupees and above, it is sufficient. Immediately the management will get transferred. Now, but the financial creditor's duty is lending money. Therefore, as we discussed in the previous topic, there will be one person called the insolvency resolution professional. That also we have discussed that in detail. Now we will take up the discussion section by section, and the first step is section 6. According to section 6, it will define who can initiate, who are the parties who can initiate the insolvency resolution, corporate insolvency resolution process. Corporate means the limited and private limited companies formed under the Companies Act, and the limited liability partnership, not normal partnership. Normal partnership and individuals will come under another process, and that is bankruptcy, which will be dealt by the debt recovery tribunal. That will take up next. So part 2 of this starts with section 6 and ends with section 32. So we are going to detailedly discuss the sections, the intricacies involved in the sections. We would request you to keep the section before you. Most of them are very simple. The ultimate object, the focus of this game is the act wants, when the debtor is defaulting, don't give control to him. The cow cannot be milked by the defaulting debtor. It has to be transferred to the creditor. Since creditor himself cannot do it, that will be disastrous. So there is a medium, one agent like this is insolvency professional, is an independent professional appointed. Now the equity and ownership, equity and debt. Once the equity holders, that is the owners default, then the power shifts to the creditors and debtor, that is the loan. And these people will form a committee of creditors, and then under their guidance, because their stakes are involved, the company will start functioning as a going concern. So the Act wants to give first chance for reconstruction of the company. The company as a going concern, an independent professional under the committee of creditors, he will have to function and see whether the company can revive within 180 days. And a further one extension, only one extension, further only one extension is allowed. That also there is again a process where the committee of creditors believe that another extension is required, and then once they make that committee 3/4 in value will be the deciding point by the creditors. Once they decide we should extend it by 90 days, then you can apply to the adjudicating authority, which is NCLT, and another 90 days will be allowed. So totally 270 days. So there is a chance, oxygen is given. So many privileges also will be available during that period of insolvency resolution process. Even after that, the company is not recovering, then it will go for liquidation. This is basically the entire corporate insolvency resolution process. Okay, so you want to just remember there are two things, the crux of the story. But when you are operating, when you are doing the work, then interpretation of each and every section comes. It's not necessary that everything is discussed in the sections. Thereafter that problem will come into the picture. So how to handle that is also we are going to see. So broadly we are developing this act. So what I am trying to tell you, the section 6 to 32, what is the crux of the discussion? The crux of the discussion is who can initiate the process. I will not go deeply into that also. Here is a person who has lent money to a company, and in anticipation of interest and monthly or whatever is that, there will be a contractual agreement. Normally it is banking, they give that, and as per that NPA norms by Reserve Bank of India, if this fellow defaults, immediately the most important part of this is the ownership which is with the defaulting debtor will automatically get transferred, or that debtor will no longer be in charge of the operations, check signing powers or nothing will be under him. That is the first crux of this whole law is this. Second, this law tries to give for first step, before you die, you are going to be given treatment. So the company, before it goes for liquidation, that is a death bill, you are giving an opportunity for reconstruction. That is the thing. And that's a period of 180 days. Further extended by 90 days. Now, here if you see very carefully, once the ownership is transferred, who will run the business? Can the creditors run? No. Creditors will run the business through the medium of insolvency resolution professional. You see, they want to keep a check on the creditors, committee of creditors also. Again, there will be a lot of problems among the creditors. Therefore, they have brought a lot of the provisions to make that committee of creditors operating smoothly. Now, committee of creditors also are concerned, because when a company goes in for liquidation, they may not be able to realize the value of the true value of the asset. Suppose I have to sell the asset now, you may not get even 50% of its value. But if the company is revived, the asset is performing well, you will get more than 100%. So this is in the interest of committee of creditors, and they will have to run the operations. That is why everything is checks and balances are put in this section. So here is a committee of creditors, and here is the company. The owners are out of the picture the day default takes place above 1 lakh. Whether it is a financial creditor or operational creditor. The medium between these two is the insolvency resolution professional. Insolvency resolution professional, whatever he wants to tell, do, he has to do taking the concurrence of the committee of creditors. He is running the business like a chief executive officer, and he should also be taking guidance of the company law, a national company law tribunal. Under the judicial supervision, everything will take place. So you will have certain powers are given what these committee creditors can do in the ordinary course of business as a going concern, no problem. But anything exceeding that, you have to take the permission of NCLT. So there will be a repeated meetings and resolutions passed, going to the NCLT, taking their permission for doing all these things. So it is a laborious process involved. And how this act has been drafted in such a way to take care of the interest of everybody. No one should make use of it. As I already explained you, taking the Kingfisher Airlines story, the owners, the assets, value of the asset is to be protected. In fact, this is more for application for bank. Incidentally, it will help the defaulting debtor. Even the unsecured creditors are given top priority. You will be surprised to know the secured creditor, that is a person who has given 10 crores loan and then he has got a security of 8 crores. Now he can go and then liquidate that 8 crores. The 2 crores for which he will become unsecured creditor, his claim will come in the last. When the liquidation, then the last priority along with the government is also in the last. Earlier government dues are first, now no, it is all gone back. Whereas normal unsecured creditors like operational creditors and anybody who are giving loan without taking any security, they will give a priority. So it is a good law. It is a good law. Now I am going into the details. Section by section I am going to read. So what is section 6 to 32? I have given introduction. Gist of that section has been discussed. Now we are discussing this section 6. So the same thing what I have discussed, wherever there is a lacuna in this, I will try to explain. Section 6 talks about persons who may initiate corporate insolvency resolution process. Already I told you who are all the persons who can initiate insolvency resolution, corporate insolvency resolution process. 1. Financial creditor. 2. Operational creditor. And 3. The corporate debtor himself. You may be wondering why that corporate debtor also will come for resolution process. The reason could be that corporate thing, he may be having lot of pressures. The business may be good, but he will not be able to pay interest. He will not be able to, there are a lot of obligations against him. He needs some breathing time, some oxygen. And therefore he may also come to the court, NCLT, involving this. So 3 parties can come into the picture. That is the thing. Let me read out that section. Where any corporate debtor commits a default, that is default, the basic, the triggering point for the process. We will call it as corporate insolvency resolution process as process. And you need a default. What is default as defined? For example, I give you loan and you tell me after 6 months you are going to repay with interest of so much percentage. So on 30th June, if you are not paid, I have a right to proceed against you. The default has occurred. So the triggering point is this. In case of a bank, a financial regulator, financial services provider and all, then NPA, when the asset, then the loan and the exposure becomes NPA, non-performing asset, then he gets the charge. Operational creditor also will have a clarity. So we will also come and explain you how we should make sure to reap the benefit as operational creditor. We would like to discuss that point. Right. First step is where any corporate debtor commits a default, a financial creditor or an operational creditor or the corporate debtor, there are 3 parties. Itself may initiate corporate insolvency process in respect of such corporate debtor in the manner as provided under this chapter. This chapter means